Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our morning edition of Big Brother 22 All Stars Live Feed Spoilers. Coco Vanderwolf is here. We're here. We're caffeinated and ready to try to make day 15 something exciting. Unfortunately, we do not have the power to do anything within the house.
No.
At least they're doing some stuff that's producing conflict, and there's a tiny, tiny chance that there might be some action happening with the vote. I would not put too much stock in this at the moment, but it's still interesting. It's at least something other than a house meeting that may or may not happen that we can talk about. Let's get into it. Before we do, if you guys like this video, give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and if you do want to support us further, see Coco Vanderwolf very much appreciates it. Check out the links in the description to the store and also our Patreon where we have live chats at the end of every month.
Okay, so we're back to this. Is David going? Is Nicole Anthony going? And a part of it is now involving Davon, because Davon has been saying that she does not want to get rid of David. Even though her and David don't really have a lot of a relationship, she just doesn't want to send him out. But now this is happening. So David and Davon have gotten into a little bit of an argument sort of over her putting herself out there for him and him being like, thanks, but I'm working with these guys.
It really feels a lot like Davon, I don't think, is asking for David to sign like a blood contract or something
No.
guaranteeing that he's gonna like take her to the end of the game or anything, but I think she wants a lot of reassurance that they do have a path deep into the game together. And I think David has kind of come across as a little bit arrogant in the conversations with her, and I think that's how she has felt about it after the fact, that he has been doing some stuff with the bros and broing down, and it's just his answers to her about working with her, working with Bailey. It doesn't feel, I think, satisfactory to Davon, and Davon's played this game multiple times. She's very, very smart, and if she feels like David is just going to use her as sort of a potential second option, like a last resort number, why stick her neck out for that if that's ultimately she's just going to be giving a number to other people, other bros that could just take out more women? Because if Nicole Anthony leaves, that's the second woman in a row who is evicted.
This is where David's inexperience is coming in. He's playing in an all-star season with people who have played 2 and 3 times. Like, this is a group of people who have played this game deep into the game multiple times for a lot of people. So it's very difficult, I would think, for him to be someone who's only really played for like a minute and now he's in with these all-stars. Because if you're on the block, which David is,
Yeah.
for him to sort of know that he probably has Davon's vote, but you're not going to just take the minute to finesse that, you can deal with that next HOH. Like, what if she's the next HOH, David? Like, you need to think ahead just a little bit. You don't have to promise her the world, but you need to make her comfortable. She needs to be comfortable. Take care of her so that you can make it to the next week. It's like, it's tomorrow.
And I just think in general, acting like you for sure have the votes to stay, which David has kind of acted a lot like over these past couple of days, it's not always a good look because people get bored in this house, and if you act like you're too comfortable in a moment where you shouldn't be comfortable, they're probably going to think you may have something going on that you are not a part of, and I think Davon is starting to feel that way, really. I mean, we know that David's closest allegiances are probably, maybe Tyler, maybe Cody, like maybe some of these bros, but we know that Tyler also has Christmas. Cody also has Nicole F. Like, they have other options. David's putting too much stock in things that aren't really there, and he is also acting way too confident about a vote that hasn't actually happened yet.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a little bit on Davon as well, because they haven't spent like a ton of time solidifying anything and having it sort of be, I feel like, I'm going to put myself out there. You got to give it back. There should have been a lot more of those conversations before they got to this point, because it feels a lot like Davon, since she's been in there's been like, yeah, I don't want to vote David out. I'm not into wanting to vote David out, but the conversations haven't gone back and forth. So now it's a little bit more of a surprise where he's like, no, actually, I've been talking to these guys a lot, and I've been hanging out with these guys a lot, and I'm working with these guys. Like, they've just both come to the table a little bit too late.
This is the tricky thing about, I think, where Davon is thinking in terms of this vote, because she's obviously worried that if she does decide in the end to want to get rid of David, are there going to be a lot of people mad at her? And beyond just that, is she really going to have the votes? Because we know Memphis is a tiebreaker, and presumably Memphis may have on his side. See if I can do this properly.
You can do it. I believe in you.
Tyler, Cody, Enzo, Nicole F, Danny, Christmas.
Yeah.
Those 6 plus Memphis, they control everything. So it doesn't even matter what Davon or Bailey or Ian, who's probably not going to go in a different way than Nicole F anyway, but it doesn't matter what these people are going to do. But, Davon may not have the full understanding of where certain lines are in the game either.
But the other thing is I think David is resting too well, thinking that he is really part of this. Because in the end, I don't think they care really who goes home. I know, like, Nicole F, of course, wants out Nicole Anthony, but I think in general, that group is going to be like, yeah, we'd like to get out Nicole Anthony, but if David goes too, it's okay. Like, it's not going to hurt our numbers over here. We're doing all right.
Remember when Lydia freaked out when Mr. Spectacular was gone? Nobody is doing that if David gets evicted this week. It's not going to be a Big Brother tragedy, and David's probably putting too much stock in this. But I love seeing Davon's wheels kind of turning, because, at times she's an imperfect player, but I do think she thinks a lot of things through.
I think if anyone's going to be able to turn this around on David, it will be Davon. I think she's going to be able to at least get some conversations going, because the whole house really likes her. And right now, her and Bailey are in this really interesting situation where both sides of the house are trying to pull them into their groups. Whether they're at the bottom of those groups or not is something else. But, Cody and Tyler's side, they want them. Janelle and Kaser, they want them. So Davon's vote and Bailey's votes are really important right now.
Here is where we come with the bad news, because I'm sure there are a lot of Janelle fans out there who are like, all right, let's make this happen. Let's try to find a way to have this vote work. And it's like, oh, well, actually, hold on a minute here, because a lot of Davon's thinking, I think, is somewhat predicated on this idea that maybe Nicole Anthony would want to get rid of Janelle, because Davon also does want to get rid of Janelle, because I think she's starting to get worried that Bailey and Janelle are going to get too close and that Janelle is going to pull Bailey away from her.
And that's where I think Davon is possibly making a mistake, because she isn't part of this bigger alliance. They are on the bottom of it. And so if she did move over to work with Janelle and Kaser and them, then it is, like you said yesterday, they're all at the top at this point, because they're two sets of partners. So nobody's really at the bottom at that point. Davon, you're not going to lose Bailey. She is not going to be with Janelle and not with you. I feel that Bailey and Davon, that they are a solid two. This is the only, besides Janelle and Kaser, the real sort of alliances in this house.
It's true. Just think logically here for a second. Why would Bailey decide, okay, I want to try to have a final two with Janelle, when Janelle already has a final two and his name is Kaser? I think Bailey would like to go far into game with Janelle. I think Bailey likes Janelle a lot, but Bailey is also a very smart player, and I think Bailey is well aware that even if she likes Janelle, at a certain point, it's going to be not great to keep Janelle into the game because Janelle can win too many competitions.
And they need the numbers, and they need solid numbers. Like, this other side of the house is just not real, and Janelle and Kaser is something that, you know, if Davon's a little bit worried, oh, they're getting a little too close, cut Janelle a little bit later. Use them together
Yes.
and start sucking away some of those other numbers, and then you can get rid of Janelle.
Can we talk now about my favorite conversation from the feeds?
Let's do it.
David and Kaser. So, okay, this was fun because David is kind of going into this with this attitude of, you know, Kaser, why are you hearing that people that you might be campaigning against me? And Kaser just doesn't care anymore. Like, that's what's really great about this. He doesn't mind just sort of saying what's on his mind. He's just like, David, you're working with people who want Janelle out. And it's very much like this. He even told David, you know what? Memphis, I understand you got beef with Memphis. If you get rid of Memphis, that's fine. But just, you can't get rid of Janelle. You're working with people. And I think you could just see David getting so visibly upset because Kaser had pretty much his entire game pegged. And I don't think David really knew what to do about it.
I like David. I haven't, made that any secret.
Yeah.
And I just wish that he had been able to play a little bit more before he came in and played with All-Stars.
Let's be clear here. Kaser's not actually doing good. Like, Kaser...
No, but he has a lot more experience at what is going on. I think it's just hard when you're playing with people who have played 2 and 3 times, that have played deeper into the game and a lot more game, and they just have more experience. It's just difficult.
I think David ultimately will probably go further in this game than Kaser if David survives this week. And
I think so, too.
That makes me... It bums me out because Kaser does have more experience, but it's like... Every time I see Kaser play Big Brother, I'm reminded why I love watching him, but I'm also reminded as to why he's not really good at this game because he is too much like... He had this conversation with Ian, too, and he was so much of it was like, all right, Ian, this might be our last shot playing Big Brother. Let's do this. Why are we going to sit back? Why are we going to let these... he's like, we're outcasts. He's like trying to do like this Braveheart, like rallying cry. It's like, Kaser, it's week 2. The game is not even really going yet.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because sometimes Kaser is, like, so off the rails, and then other times he's, like, he knows that Nicole Anthony is mad at them, and he's just, like, very focused and, like, gets what's going on, and then other times he's, like, over here being crazy.
Kaser just can't... I think the problem is Kaser may actually be too smart for Big Brother, where he's got like 1,000 ideas in his head at all times, and he doesn't actually know how to process or filter them. So they just all pour out of his mouth at possibly inopportune times, such as, let me tell a lot of my game plan to Ian, who is probably going to go tell either Cody or Nicole all of this after the fact.
It's true, but he is, to his credit, trying to build something with Ian, and he doesn't know that that's happening. And they do have to try something. They do have to put themselves out there and try to build something. They are just a duo. It is not going to get them far enough. The only other real duo in the game is now out on them. Like, they are really on their own again.
And I do love Kaser trying to be like the mediator and getting like the Treaty of Versailles going between Janelle and Nicole F, where he was just sort of like he was telling you this. I do this all the time in my real life being, conflict resolution. It's okay. You can't put Nicole F and Janelle in a conference room somewhere and like get them to, this is not how this works in Big Brother, Kaser. I'm sorry.
No, because then afterwards you can't go home and think about it. You are at home with everybody, so you're going to have this conflict and then you're stuck with each other.
I'm going to be so sad when Kaser inevitably gets evicted in a couple of weeks.
It's going to be very interesting to see where Janelle and Kaser end up with this particular vote, because they have been really pushing for Nicole Anthony and they really want to keep her. And now they're really coming around to something is wrong with Nicole Anthony. Either she's mad at us or she's just upset in general. Like, something is really wrong.
It's like they've started to put together the puzzle, but they have like these 3 pieces and they don't know fully where they go. It's like, oh yeah, something's wrong with Nicole Anthony. but yet they have not realized Nicole Anthony has been telling everyone that she wants to nominate them, and we still don't know if the House meeting is going to happen today, guys. I wish we had better news.
Yeah, and I mean, with kind of what David's done now with Davon, and I'm sure that's gonna, of course, go to Bailey, and Bailey also will be like, yeah, I'm out on this dude. Like, I think, like, Nicole Anthony really needs to not have this House meeting. Like, it's small, but there is a chance that if she just takes the time to really work on a couple people over in this other alliance, that she can maybe turn somebody, maybe, not Nicole Franzel, but maybe like a Christmas or I don't know, somebody, a Tyler, a Cody, an Enzo, somebody. Enzo is actually probably a good person because he wanted to keep Nicole Anthony for a while because she's giving them information. And she could sell that as a part of her, be like, hey, guys, I can bring you information. Enzo already is interested in this trade.
Well, as we watch the feeds today, we'll see if any more movement happens, because it's at least, David's probably still staying, but at least it's more interesting now than it was 24 hours ago. But what do you guys think is going to happen in the Big Brother 22 house today? Where do you think David's biggest mistake is? And are you going to be equally sad when Kaser, the mad scientist, the Big Brother, gets evicted far too early? Let us know in the comments. And if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and support us further. Check those links to the store, to our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.